Another week has gone by, and we are back. We are ready. It's time to have some fun with Rebranders. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anthony Goodson. I'm your host of the number one podcast at 7:30 on Wednesday nights in this page, Rebranders. So we're going to give everybody an opportunity to go to your Facebook page and click that little button at the bottom that says share. In fact, I got to do it myself. It's a button that says share. We want you to click it. If you click it and you say, I clicked it, we just may give you a free t-shirt. Ain't that right, Eric?
Oh, yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
Right on. Hey, look, like I said earlier, my name is Anthony Goodson. I am the host of a podcast called Rebranders, alongside your co-host, Eric Russell. What's up, Eric?
How's good? What's good, everybody? I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Man, you know what? I can't complain.
Oh, good.
Hump day is always the best day. Ace, what's happening?
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing, world?
Right on. So tonight we're talking reckless assumptions.
Reckless
assumptions. That's a very deep topic. We're going to talk about that tonight. We want everybody not only to share this page, but we want you to join in on the conversation and tell us what it means to you. Eric, reckless assumptions. You knew I was going to come to you for a definition. So let's talk about it. Now, when you put two words together, it may mean something different than those two words individually. Let me go ahead and read what I've written down. Reckless, marked by lack of proper caution, careless of consequences. That's reckless. Assumption, a thing that is accepted as true or as a certain to happen with absolutely no proof. But that's reckless and that's assumption. Tell me what reckless assumption is.
Well, to me, there are no certain definition for it on Google, shall I say, or the dictionary. In my opinion, I looked it up myself. But for me, it means the combination of the two you just said. So when you have those assumptions, but they have different outcomes that cause you issues. It may cause hurt. It may cause somebody else hurt. It may cause division. Depending on what the circumstance is, it causes something that's negative in your life or somebody else's life. So therefore, to me, it becomes reckless and becomes an endangered something.
So reckless assumption is a very interesting concept or a very interesting thought, because it's really just racism or stereotypes, or it's I'm going to put this thought that I have on you without you ever, doing anything to deserve it. Right? Maybe it's just, like I said, it's a stereotype. So reckless assumption is what we're talking about tonight. I wrote something I was going to do for Rebrand Me, but instead I'm going to read my opening for Rebrand Me, and I'll just change it later on. If what you see is all you see, then you don't see all there is. So then you have sight, but you lack vision. The ability to see with supernatural eyes. Reckless assumption is the inability to rise above what is expected, what's predicted, what society has forecast. Reckless assumption, it would say that Mike Tyson would be dead at 19, not the youngest heavyweight champion of the world. It would also say that John McCain, a war hero, would be the 44th president, not a young black senator from Chicago with a couple of political years experience and with a name like Barack Obama. I wrote so much more to that, but the point is, reckless assumption means that you're just written something completely off, be it a race, be it a woman, whatever the case may be. That's what we're talking about tonight. We want y'all to join in. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a great topic.
Absolutely. Be sure to join in. Next week we got a great topic. We're talking about the things that goes on in people's homes, right? The difference between the black homes and the difference between white homes.
I know what we're talking about there, boy.
Okay, I'm definitely saying, because you got to explain that, because it's a little different than the Kelly residence.
All right, we're going to talk about that next week. Hey, we'll see y'all in about 5 seconds. All right, we're back. Reckless assumption is the conversation for tonight. All right, let's go ahead and just jump right on in.
Let's do it.
All right. Class. Is it safe to say black people are at the bottom because of race? Is it safe to say black people are simply at the bottom in this country called America simply because of the color of their skin, aka race.
You know what? I would say I wouldn't say it was safe to say. I would say that's a truthful statement, but I would say you have your critics, and you always have other people who believe otherwise. So I don't think it's a safe assumption because you have a large group of people who would go against that and point at other variables.
Eric?
Yeah, I think class itself is just. I mean, a lot of terms that we use right now are just made up stuff that they try to. For whatever reason, I don't want to get into a whole bunch of deep conversation about why things are made up in our society the way they are. But I looked it up in Google, and it says most of us has a sense of hierarchy in society from low to high, and it's based on income, wealth, power, culture, behavior, heritage, and prestige. And so that's the definition of what social class is in America. However, I do believe that in a lot of different areas in society today, especially in America, the black race does have a more difficult staircase to climb than other races, I believe, and that it's obvious to see that. But it's so interesting about class. You can have a lot of money, but have poor class, like you just behave really poorly. So class to me is so complex, and it's not just because you have money. It's not because you act well. It's not because you speak well. It's all those things combined I mentioned earlier, and so. I feel like you can have one of those few things I mentioned, and then have a one, two, or three that's really bad that you don't have, then just pull you down from being high class to low class, in my opinion. But like I said, I think that the black race in general have a harder staircase to climb than other folks.
Is it safe to say black people are at the bottom because of race? I would say yes. I would say because it's hard for me to believe that it's because of our own self. Because of anything that we've actually done. I would like to believe that it's been because of the efforts of other people. Maybe the entire country, maybe the whole world. In that case, I would have to say it's because of the race. But I also like to say that I can see where we're starting to climb out. The Michael Jordans of the world, and that's from the athletic ability. Whatever ability God has given you, be it Michael Jackson or Kanye West using music or Michael Jordan using athletics. It's very interesting to me
Yeah.
that you can take those things to the highest level and climb yourself out. I think later on we're going to talk about Ben Carson, a doctor. Did he climb himself out? Because last night we were talking about this, and one of the questions were, can black people get out of that low class status? If you are a multi-billionaire, if you're a celebrity, if you're a Grammy winner, whatever, can you get out of that low class status? Let's go to the comments real quick. Eric, I'm not real sure who this is. If you can help me out. Comment says, I think it's safe to say that a lot of people want us to feel as though we are the inferior race, but it's simply not true.
That's my girl Janika.
Janika. What's up, Janique? Thank you for watching. I think that's a great point. I'm gonna bring that back up. It's a great point. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people want us to feel as though we are the inferior race, but it's simply not true. You know what? I agree. I don't think we're inferior. I think we're superior. I really do. I think the fact that people recognize that, it takes the breaking of the mind in order to tear us apart. So what they did is they mentally broke us down way back when, and they constantly did it. Look, let's look at history real quick. So after slavery, which of course was debilitating in itself, we then had the Harlem Renaissance, which was broken down. Then we had a Black Wall Street, which was broken down. Then we had the Civil Rights, which itself was a breakdown. Then we had Donald Trump, which is a breakdown. I think every time you turn around, anytime we see because think about what happened right before Donald Trump. It was Barack Obama. Okay, so anytime we see some growth, we see the breakdown.
They broke that. They broke that all the way down.
Absolutely. So I believe that what we're seeing is a situation where we're not inferior. I mean, we really aren't. I mean, they're trying to make us think that, but we just haven't realized that. Speak to it, fellas.
I think that also too, going back to what Janique said, was the fact that a lot of America have soon made that assumption that we are the bottom class. I don't perceive me as a bottom class citizen in America. I don't consider you guys or other people in the black race in the bottom, but that's a lot of perspective from different people in America. But again, you gotta look where that perspective came from again. I feel like all assumptions again create some kind of advantage or disadvantage for other people. In this instance, for sure, in my opinion, it causes divisiveness. Like it's going to cause division because we're not. If people feel like we're on the same playing field, it's going to cause me to look at you a different way. It's going to cause somebody to look at me a different way. So I think that in this particular scenario, it definitely caused division within the races for sure.
All right, so you brought up the word class several times, Janique and others talking about class. Here's the next question for us. Class, is it all about money?
Ooh, majority. I wouldn't say all, but it's definitely the majority. I mean, we've all seen those instances where uh, someone is accepted because of where they are, who they are. I mean, you got to look at. I don't think Tiger Woods gets into a lot of circles he's in if he didn't, if he came up a couple of billion short.
I think class is about money, but I also think it's about historical money, or how wide or how deep or how
Mhm.
tall the money gets. So Bill Gates is not from, he's not from money. Steve Jobs, as far as I'm concerned, is not, as far as I know, is not from money, but they created money. So their class level certainly has changed. But the common denominator with those two is they have a similar race. Okay.
Mm.
Whereas we can look at other people, and of course we don't have any black billionaires to that magnitude. But if Oprah, Kanye, or somebody like that was a 100 billionaire, would they then be considered on that particular level? I think that it's about money. Don't get me wrong, but I think that it's about old money more than anything else. However, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, they are the exceptions.
Yeah, they definitely found the seven. Yeah, I agree with you with that old money. You're talking about the Kennedys and who is it, like the Rothschilds and all those Rockefellers and stuff like that. So that's definitely kind of an elite that tend to have their nose pointed up a little bit, looking down at everybody else. If you are, they look at somebody making 350 like they dirt on the street.
350 million would make them dirt on the, on
Yeah,
the
to them,
street.
like 350 million. What I'm gonna do with that?
I got a question for you guys though. Like, I can speak for myself. I came from very, very humble beginnings. So I'm not where I want to be at financially, but I'm definitely not where I was way back when. And so as you come up the financial ladder, talking about class, how, has your standards or your viewpoint changed based on how much money you make on other people? So I'm saying, like, if
Uh,
somebody is where I was 15 years ago, do I look at them different or do I look at them the same? Has it changed your perspective in that regard to class?
that's a
Before
good
we go to that
question.
question, great question,
Good
Eric. Before
question.
we go to the question, go to the comments real quick. Tell me who says this. Class is about couth and money. Couth and
Oh,
money.
that's
I
my
love
friend
that.
Janique again. Hold on,
Janique,
Janique
let's
on
back up first. How does she properly know how to use coop? Because I don't
it.
even know how to spell it.
she's in a class all by herself.
All by herself.
I'm surprised I even knew what she was saying,
You done messed up
Jack.
now. Janique, every time I talk to you, I'm gonna be like, that's uncouth.
Well, class. Let's go. Say the question one more time, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, as we continue to get more money as black people, whatever case it may be, right? And you know where you were 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, so you got another 100,000 or 500,000 in your bank account that you had back in the day. Does your perspective change to people where you were back then if they're there now? Do your perspective change about class and how they are?
No, I think you got a certain respect level. Not I don't necessarily have respect, but you have a certain understanding. If you came from there and even though you are where you are. Me personally, I can't speak too much because I'm not there, but I ain't all the way, from there. So like that, put it like this, I can still reach out and relate.
I
We're
understand.
talking reckless assumptions tonight. We're stuck on the topic of class right now. I think it's a great topic. Eric just asked the question. If you've moved past the class that you grew up from, can you still relate to the old class? Or do you relate now to your new class, your new found wealth, or whatever the case may be? And I think it's a great question. My answer to that is I never forget. I don't think you can ever forget where you come from. That's the most important part of it. I think really and truly, that's what keeps you going to the next level is remembering where you came from. That's the
Yeah.
step that you take to continue to get to the next. But the thing is, it's like I had this conversation with Nikki Giovanni one time.
Hmm.
And
Convert
Nikki
us out
Giovanni
on that
said,
one, Eve.
yeah, She said it's all about the niceness of it. That's kind of what attitude and cockiness and all those things are about. So yeah, I don't expect Bill Gates, or for a better term, let's go Michael Vick, to hang around with the same people he used to hang around with. But I think that he should forget those people in order to throw those people away. He got to understand he was once one of those people. And now he got to remember those people to kind of get away even further from those people.
Where
you know what I
did
mean?
Pitt come from? We've been talking about Rothschilds and Kennedys.
Well, he trying to have that that relatability piece right there.
Yeah, that's what their relatability. And and Vic. And
Well, I would be offended, but he didn't know how to spell couth, so I think I'm good. I remember back when I was in that class and I couldn't spell couth. It was called third grade.
Wow, here we go.
I got one of them controversial shows. I can say the kind of stuff to you I want to say to you right now.
Hey, y'all are live with Rebranders. I'm Anthony Goodson, right next to Adrian A. Stinson and Eric Russell. We are talking about reckless assumptions and class and how class fits into that. Eric, I think you had something to say.
Yeah, just makes me think about like what assumptions do rich people. I'm gonna try to get it from race a little bit. So what assumptions do rich people or white people or Hispanic people or Asian people have towards black people that could be reckless, or either opposite? What assumptions do black people have to rich people, white people, and we all could be part of that rich category? But if we were going back to race a little bit, Asians, Hispanics, and white people, what assumptions do we have regarding the race?
Well, I think with race and black people, it's reckless towards black people that they have assumptions. If anybody has assumptions towards black people, it's reckless towards us. We are the losers on that end. Now, for us, if we have assumptions towards other people, I believe then that's reckless towards us as well. And if they have assumptions towards each other and so forth, then that's a different category. But it hurts us that they have an assumption towards us because, like I said, it goes back to that stereotype thing. So if you have a stereotype that black people are lazy and they say, okay, we're not going to give him a job, that's a reckless assumption. For me now, I can't grow, I can't make more money, I can't do anything for my family, right? So, or they may not hire you or whatever the case may be. So that's where the reckless, it's interesting that someone else's reckless assumption towards me affects me, but my reckless assumption towards them affects me. Yeah. Is that not confusing or what?
No, that's spot on. Like I said, when we were discussing it, and I was saying that I think the difference is when we have reckless assumption, it just affects the way we feel about people, maybe the way we approach them, we deal with them. When other races have reckless assumptions about us, we die.
Yeah.
Their reckless assumption affects our well-being, our livelihood. Our reckless assumption toward them doesn't affect their lives at all. Like, you said it, it just affects, just us and maybe how we deal. But yeah, we use reckless assumptions kill us.
Reckless assumptions. We got videos coming up in a little bit. Y'all stay tuned for that. Hey, Ace, let's step away for a moment. Today is August 3rd. You were supposed to remind me of something, but you dropped the ball. He ain't even said share the show, much less remind me.
But you put it on the bottom. I can't spell coot, and they ought to be able to read that at the bottom. We all the same. But y'all please share the show. But yeah, so today is a very special day here on Rebrand Us. Back in 1943, a man named Willie Johnson invented the toothpick. Actually, he had a piece of chicken in his teeth for a minute and couldn't get it out. And he was under extreme duress. He had a date with a woman named Viola. He had to think fast. So he broke off a piece of plywood.
But that ain't the reason why we celebrate. 7 years later.
7 years later, that same tooth. Let's go. We got some birthday. We want to say happy birthday to one of our biggest fans, Mr. Goodson. And also to my main man, Leonard McDonald. What's going on out there, y'all?
Yeah, happy birthday to y'all.
That's good stuff.
You made another. All right, reckless assumptions. So we're talking about class and how it works into reckless assumptions. Is the biggest impact on class education? And if not, what is it? Or if so, how? Is the biggest impact on class, not school class, for those of you who are just joining. We're talking about the class level, financial
social
level.
Class. Social
class. Is the biggest impact on social class education? If not, what is it?
I think that's all these questions can go either way. I think that's a time period question. So in today's times, I believe that's the biggest impact on class. is education, and not education as far as going to sit in a classroom, but education as far as like knowledge, like what we know. So in today's time, you ask somebody in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, the biggest impact on class would strictly be the color of the skin.
I say no. I say not at all. Actually, the biggest impact on class is money. It has nothing to do with education. Education is great, but how many doctors do we have out there who are on the same playing field as you and I, right? How many people do we know who have the highest levels of education, 7, 8, 9 degrees, and yet still, if they don't have the money, it just don't match the education that they have. But you got people who are, if they have a little bit of sense. Donald Trump has none, and Donald Trump has all the money in the world. You know what I mean? You got this person who just won the mega ball the other day. He got $400 million afterwards. But if they have a little bit of sense, they've just changed their social class, not just their financial class. So I don't think education. Now, if you are just a moron or an idiot, that's one thing. However, if you are born into money, if you're Kennedy, if you're Trump, if you're Rockefeller, if you're one of these names, you're born into money. Your social class at least teaches you by nature how to act in certain situations. Okay, so now you got the money. And you can kind of just, my mom always say, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. So I say education has very little to do with it. Very little. Bill Gates don't even have a degree.
That's true. That's true. I think when it comes down to class today, as we're talking about it, I think about the elitist. And I think the elitist, again, going back to that, education is not necessarily one of the biggest things. That's more of a middle class to high middle class type of scenario. Education, I think, does play a big part in that. But the income part, and I think more important than even to me, is the power. Like we're talking about the elitists. When you get that money and get that power, then the elitists have all that, man. They're making the decisions about what kind of medication you put out into the world. They're making decisions about what they're teaching in the schools, things like that. So I think when you talk about elitist social class, that's where I think it goes. But you come down to just a regular wealthy class, somebody make 200 million. 500 million, that kind of stuff, which is a lot of money to me and you, but for them may not be, right? So I think then you're talking about education again. I think you're talking about education. I think you're talking about behavior and those things we talked about earlier, what makes up social class. But I think it depends on what class you're talking about. But I do think the income, which is money, obviously, and I think power make the biggest piece when we're talking about that upper echelon of social class.
Ace, this comment is for you. I left it on the screen for a long time. It says,
where's
the gift?
You say, where's the gifts? Oh, they on the way. They're on the way. We had to, we in a different class, so we can't get out of that fast. So,
Well, you got to look at the wording of it. Either it's bad grammar or he means what he says.
He mean what he say. Where is the gifts?
With an S at the end, meaning multiple gifts.
Yeah.
Janique says it's all about stats.
Mr. Gibson asking that question, that's kind of uncouth.
All right, Janique, you got him going.
Got him going, Janique. Just like Kevin. What's that word?
Nomenclature.
Nomenclature. All right, let's move right on, y'all. Are assumptions negative? Difference between intuition and wisdom.
Woo. Oh,
let's start with the first question. Are assumptions negative? Because we're talking today, we're talking reckless assumptions. So we're using this as though it's a negative term or a negative phrase. But are assumptions always negative?
You know what? We had a good discussion on this, and I'm confused now. I don't know, because after talking to you, I have to say yes. Assumptions are negative. All assumptions are negative.
I would say all assumptions are negative
because of assuming. Initially, I thought no, but as right now, I had to say I think all assumptions are negative for the simple fact that they're an assumption, just by nature of what an assumption is.
What is it? What is the old saying about assumptions? When you assume?
When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what it boils down to. Because even if it's a positive assumption, thinking, "Oh, he got it," but what if he ain't got it? I think all assumptions are very negative. And I mean, I think they can be very reckless in itself. Just an assumption by it. So you don't have to really use the word reckless. Just an assumption is just negative. Now, the difference between intuition and wisdom, we talked about this last night. I would love for all the members, all the people watching to kind of get into that. Eric, I know you got the definition in front of you. If you don't, I'll stall for a minute so you can see it. But the between intuition and wisdom. Wisdom, of course, being a spiritual term, it's knowledge plus understanding equals wisdom, right? And then, of course, intuition is more like a vision or a feel. It's more like a feeling, if anything else.
You know what? Intuition is kind of like an assumption.
Okay,
Is
so
it?
it can't
I
be.
don't think so.
Well,
It's kind of, we call it a feeling because you think something came on. My intuition told me I should do this, do that, but really you kind of assume something. So you felt like you should do this because of you assumed something.
I think what you said earlier, Ace, really hit me hard because I feel like this is what our podcast is about.
That's what I try to
This
do.
podcast is the fact that we have conversations, and that's what we try to encourage all our listeners to do, whether they agree what we say, what we don't, is have conversations about stuff. If you still, my philosophy is, if I think the exact same way I did, I'm 42 years old. If I think the exact same way I did when I was 22, I have not gained any more wisdom. I haven't grown in an enormous lot of ways. I've not grown. I probably even and lost a lot of opportunities to grow. Right. So if we have opportunity to talk to other people that may be different than us, and we learn from them, we do grow that way. And guess what? That's what Rebranders is really about. We are trying to create this dialogue where we able to feel comfortable or bold enough and confident enough to talk to people that we may not look like us or think like us. So the fact that you was like, and my goal is not to change anybody's mind, it's to give you my perspective. So the fact that people change minds based on conversations, I think it's important. But did you want on the intuition versus the wisdom thingamajiggy? That's a very scientific word, thingamajiggy. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there.
Gotta have a lot of coof to use that kind of language.
Or just the ability to lose what you were thinking in general. Okay, so intuitive or intuition is something that's spontaneous. It's without required conscious thought. So it's not something you're not really thinking about. It's just something that's kind of comes to your mind. Wisdom is something that's personal character that enables one to distinguish the wise from the unwise. This discretionary use of knowledge for the greatest good. The ability to apply relevant knowledge in an insightful way, especially to different situations from that in which the knowledge was gained. So there's a bit of knowledge intertwined with wisdom, but you use that, you take it farther than what you know for as a book sense. It goes farther than that, and it goes into life implications as opposed to just knowledge. So that's
what's better to have, intuition or wisdom?
Wisdom.
Can I have both?
I think if you have wisdom, you have intuition.
Yeah, I think if you have wisdom, I think you're a step ahead of intuition. It wouldn't even be
I think if you have wisdom, the intuition is entwined in there. But you can't have intuition and wisdom being entwined in there. Deborah Goodson, tell us what you think. We know you are all on this one. What is the difference between intuition and wisdom? Intuition is, of course, we've all heard the term women's intuition. I think it's a feeling. It's an understanding. It's like you know it, but you don't know why you know it, but it's something you practice in life.
It's a sense. You know. Just like how animals have a sense. It's a sense.
Yeah, it's like a sixth sense or a seventh sense. Jay-Z said that his intuition is what made him a strong businessman, because he knew when he was in the street hustling, doing his thing, his intuition had to kick in oftentimes. And I better not go down that street or, in this room or whatever the case may be. So he said he was able to take that same intuition with him in the business world. So I think it's a feeling, it's a sense, it's got a little bit of knowledge attached to it, but I think wisdom is wrapped around all kind of great senses.
And I think too, as I continue to think about the conversation we're having right now, the intuition, if you push a little bit further and you add a little more stuff that you may not know, it can lean towards an assumption, right? So let's say that, go back to that female and male thing, you're in a relationship and the woman intuition kicks in. It's like something ain't right, something just not right. So all of a sudden you see a TV show as a woman or a male, whatever the case may be, but to my women's intuition right now, see a TV show, you see a man cheating on his wife on this TV show, even though you know something ain't right, but now you saw this particular thing that's happened on TV that may not be happening in your real life. Now you done made that an intuition and assumption based on what you saw. So you may know something going on, but you start assuming what it is going wrong. So I think the intuition can definitely lean towards an assumption, and wisdom going to lead you towards the right direction all the time, more than likely, if you use it right.
Absolutely. Hey, look, we're talking reckless assumptions. You're watching Rebrand Us. Coming up, we're going to show you a little video that's going to kind of answer some of the stuff that we're talking about, or at least speak to it for a little bit. Hey, keep the comments coming. We thank y'all very much. Janique, bring them on. We love your intelligence. Happy birthday, Tony Goodson. Happy birthday, Leonard McDonald. See y'all in about 30 seconds.
The best way to change the world is to change your world. And that begins with me.
All right, we're back.
That wasn't 30 seconds.
It might have been less. Were you counting?
Yeah, I was. You called it out. I don't know.
It was
Something like 17.
Dang, you really was counting. Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, rebrand me. I'm gonna read the same thing I did
real
as
quick,
an opening.
Before you go into your rebrand me, when I watched that promo, and this completely out of subject, we see the sagging pants, things like that. Is it safe to assume that they just don't give a damn?
I used to assume that they'd have money for belts. That's what I used to assume.
You know what I think? This is what I think. There's things that we used to do too. And then we didn't show up underwear, but there's things that we used to do, and this is their thing. It's kind of borderline disrespectful, more so to them than it is to us. But I'm just not that offended by it. It's tacky, don't get me wrong. I don't like it. I wouldn't do it. I wasn't brought up like that. And Ace, does your son do it?
He's still alive.
Eric?
Wow.
Eric, will your son do it?
I'm praying that he does not. Who knows, though?
I don't think you need to pray. I think you can just make it not happen. But I have an issue with it because it's tacky. It's not me. It's not. That's the reason why I would have an issue. But on the other hand, it's like it's just these kids. Now, if I see a 40-year-old doing it, now it's starting to, because a teenager is one thing. Once I start seeing these 30 and 40-year-olds doing it or older, now I might have a little bit more of a problem with it because now you're just killing the whole community.
The worst thing is I'll be in the store, and if you're in my area and you watch, I'm probably talking about you, and you see father and son. They'll both be sagging, no belt, with some Nike slides on. So they didn't even put on shoes or a belt. They just, and both of them in line, putting their pants up and dropping down, putting their pants up. I'm like, damn.
Well, I have certainly seen worse. Let's just put it that way. All right, look here. Rebrand me. I'm going to make it real quick. What I'm going to do is just simply read what I read earlier for an opening. If what you see is all you see, then you don't see all that there is. So then you have sight, but you lack vision. The ability to see with supernatural eyes. Reckless assumption. It's the ability to rise above what is expected or what's predicted, what society has forecast. Mike Tyson would not, he'd be dead at age 19, not the youngest heavyweight champion of the world, if we just listen to reckless assumptions. John McCain, a war hero, will be the 44th president, not a young black senator from Chicago with a couple of years of political experience and a name like Barack Obama. So reckless assumptions, it kind of kills our people, young and old, male and female. So what we have to do is we almost have to give everyone an opportunity to be their best them. Now, let's go to the question that Ace asked last night, Eric. Is reckless assumptions a safety measure? I have to assume the absolute worst for my own safety. What do y'all think?
Definitely. I think it's a lifesaver. Depending on who you are, and once again, unfortunately, we try to stay away from it. But the harsh reality of the matter, like Eric said, we discussed last night. Unfortunately, it does come back to race, and I think we have to look at that in order to get past that. Reckless assumptions can be a safety measure because I'll just be honest for everybody watching. It might be shock value, whatever. This is the truth. I won't get onto an elevator if it's just me and a white woman. I won't get onto that elevator. I'll let the elevator go, and I'll go. You have to watch where your hands are in your pockets when you're in the stores and when you're going certain places, and what side of the street you're walking on. Two people coming this way. You have to assume the worst in order to save yourself.
All right, let's take a look at this video real quick, y'all.
An event seen from one point of view gives one impression. Seen from another point of view, it gives quite a different impression. But it's only when you get the whole picture you can fully understand what's going on.
All right, reckless assumptions. What do y'all think about that video?
I don't care what nobody say. He was mugging it.
I think though, if you just see the end of that, the beginning of that clip, and let's say you're a police officer in that situation,
Grammarly helps you work more.
I think that
Okay.
got a little commercial coming in. It's all good, but I think if it's a police officer see that, and all they see is that first part of it, and he intervenes before the other part plays out, that he may go tackle the other dude, and then that's definitely a reckless assumption. Oh boy, will probably get hurt really bad if not killed. So I think it's definitely a reckless assumption in that.
All right, so I'm gonna run off a list of questions. I want everybody out there to tell us what they think. We'll give the audience an opportunity to say what they think also. So we talked about this last night. These are some questions. These are just assumptions. They could be reckless, especially if, well, we'll see. All right, part one, or A, or whatever, B. Not B, A, one. If a date happens, should we assume that a man pays? If a date happens,
No.
What if the woman asks the man out on a date? But if a date happens, should we assume that the man just paid?
Me personally, yes.
Yeah, honestly, yes. But for the sake of argument, no.
It depends. Or is it for first date? First date, should the man pay? What if the man asked the woman out on the date? Should he pay?
No. He just asked. He didn't say he wants to pay for it.
God, what about you, Janique? I'm curious about your from a female perspective.
If a woman raised a kid, do we just assume she's a good mom?
No. I.e., take it back to the saggers we were talking about a little while ago.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. Very good point. Eric?
I would say you can't assume anything these days, man. So I would say no. I think one point in my life I would say if a woman's whoever's in the house, that's the one that's the good parent. But I think now you get a lot more context around these things now. I say no.
If a person has a nice car, that means they have a nice house. Oh, we all know that's just an assumption. Just wait.
Oh yeah, that's definitely just an assumption because that's put
We've
right
seen
up.
so many nice cars sitting up in apartments. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah.
All right, how hard is it for you to give to the homeless? Because see, this is a reckless assumption. You think that they're gonna buy drugs, alcohol, or something like that.
Coming from somebody with a foundation, I still look at them sideways. Like, you know, but you just have to learn to trust and just do the right thing with yourself, and you can't worry about them. But yeah, those assumptions are still there.
I think it's hard for me. It's still hard for me, and I'm somebody who thinks about it twofold, right? So I used to do this all the time. Have a bag of like Ziploc bags in my car, where it has maybe sandwiches or clothes, or whatever case may be, toothpaste, toothbrush, stuff like that. I don't do it anymore. I used to, so I would give those out instead of money. But now I'm at the point now in my life where if I do have some change on me, whatever case of the money on me, I'll give it to them. I'm at the place now, even with ties, right? Whatever. If I give my money to somewhere specifically, and my heart's in the right place, I have to be okay with wherever my money go, because I'm gonna be blessed regardless. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm doing the right thing. But ultimately, it'd be them who have to worry about how to use that money. So, but it's still hard. I ain't gonna lie.
So, real question: have you ever got hungry and ate one of them sandwiches that you had just in case for the homeless?
On what Helen say right now? From one time to one time.
One time for one time.
I have. I ain't gonna lie to you. Replace
Another real question: how long does those sandwiches sit in your car?
No, they would get a place every day or two.
Yeah,
you know, they run out. Even like 2 or 3 sandwiches. You can have a.
I was like, you sending homeless people to the emergency room. What happened? Oh, dude, on sister. Oh, ham and cheese.
Hey, lifesaver sometimes though.
All right. Is it a reckless assumption for you to think you didn't get the promotion because of any one particular reason? If a person didn't get a promotion at a job, it's got to be multiple reasons. He can't say it's for one reason, right? So I don't know. It's saying because
Could
I'm
be.
black.
I don't think you can say like because I'm black, something like that, but some people know why they didn't get it. Like it can be for one reason. You cuss people out daily. You know, it can be something like that, or you're always late. So you can assume like it's because of that. But the race thing, I'm not. I think that's one of the things that supersedes race. Like you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, "What am I doing?"
And then you got to look at the company that you work for. You and I worked for a company one time, and we never saw anybody of color above you and I. Well, we saw one actually, but out of maybe 20, and then above that person there was like 4 or 5. We never saw any. So you got to start assuming it at some point, especially when the proof is in the pudding. Let's go to the comments. Ace, when you get through drinking that water, I'm gonna let you read the comment. Janique.
If the woman is asking for the date, then she should not expect the man to pay. If the man is a real one, then he won't allow the woman to pay for the first date. That's just my personal opinion. That comes from Janique Bird Mason.
Appreciate that, Janique.
Very good reading. I appreciate that, Janique. All right, here's another one. Because you are a cheater, she cheated. Because you cheated, she cheated. I don't know what we came up with that.
That's that fear factor, right? That's
kind of
that
kind of intuition and assumption thing to me, because I'm cheating. I got to assume that she cheating, or whatever case may be, right? So that's reckless. Or you got a homegirl that's cheating, her boyfriend cheating. Now my boyfriend cheating, that kind of thing. So,
all right, we got one last question. Do you assume people are poor because they don't have brand clothing? Absolutely, yes, I do. Broke mother. No, I mean, I didn't grow up necessarily wearing all brand clothes. I certainly didn't grow up between 25 and 40 plus wearing all these name brand clothes. So I don't. But you know what though? If you want to wear good quality clothes, is there anything wrong with going to Goodwill? Nobody.
Not at all. That's the spot, and I hope y'all ain't paying attention because I don't need all y'all there. Keep driving. It's just a thrift store, a lot of old stuff. Don't worry about it.
All right, so this is a question that we had earlier. Can black people transform into first-class citizens? All right, so let's do a real quick history recap. 1968 was the I'm forgetting the name of the law that went into effect, but that's the year that black people became citizens in the United States. 1968. Okay, so we're not first class citizens. If I'm not mistaken, every 25 years or so, that law has to be re-upped. So for a small period of time, we're not even citizens even today. So my question to you all: can we become first class citizens? Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson. I'm gonna name a list of people here in just a little bit. Okay, and I want y'all to tell me if these people has transcended blackness, and then and now are seen as first class citizens, just like a normal white person, perhaps. All right, so I'm gonna name a person or two. Let's start with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, can he transcend the second class citizenship?
Yes.
And why?
I think his celebrity is beyond that. He's looked at on a completely different level. He's not even looked at on celebrity status. He's you have that term GOAT status. He's looked at as some people literally, it's wrong, but some people can literally kind of halfway worship him, So I think he's transcended that all the way.
Eric?
I'm gonna say this. I think that Jordan. I'm gonna say this. He's one of those people that have the black people in the world don't really like, just because of, other than his shoes, but him as a person, I don't think half the black people in America like him because of some of his past deals. So I think some people say other people can have him, so to speak, or whatever. But for me personally, as for the ascension to the first class citizen, I think if he was in a case where he's in a police case and he needed to be treated as a first class citizen, that's how I look at it in my head. If I'm gonna get a fair shake of it, I'm a first class citizen. If I'm not gonna get a fair shake in the legal system. I think he would. I think you get a fair shake at it.
I look at O.J. Simpson. If y'all remember how big O.J. Simpson was in the 80s after football, maybe even in the 90s before killing, OJ was the man. OJ was big.
OJ did it, man.
OJ did it. He got off, so we can say it now. But OJ Simpson, he was married to. He was pearly white. He didn't know black people. He was married to a white woman. His his world was white. He was on Monday Night Football. He was doing the white commercials. OJ was white. OJ forgot he was black. And then 1995 or whatever year it was happened. And all of a sudden, OJ became that second-class citizen once again. I think it's hard for me to say that no matter what you do, you're going to always be black. But I think that people see OJ, people see the rest of us. Michael Jordan is no different.
Well, the thing, this is the problem with him. He committed that cardinal sin, that unwritten rule. The same rule that Jack Johnson did. The same thing got Tiger Woods gone from grace. Things like that. So he was with a white woman, which you get a pass for that. It's in today's day, you love who you love. Nothing wrong with that at all. You love who you love. But he hurt her.
All right, I'm glad you said that, because the next one, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, in my opinion, probably, of course, I'm biased, just like y'all are with Michael Jordan. Michael Jackson had transcended everybody.
Point blank. It was just like,
until 1992, when those little white kids started staying in his house, in his bed, or whatever they were doing in 92. And then that made him human again.
No, I don't think it was that. I think that was an effort to turn him down. But I think with him was he decided to start standing up and opening his mouth about things. His songs, he started. A lot of people don't even realize that, because they just know the hits that they play. But he started speaking political in his songs. He started speaking out against the system. And really, the only reason his message didn't get out as big is because it was, the Frankenstein affair. Oh, look at the monster, so we're not listening to his words. Look at him, he's a freak, and things like that. So I think that he definitely transcended. Anytime you go to another country and the army is your escort, you definitely just transcended all of that.
Oprah Winfrey.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
No. I don't think she transcends because she really tries to stay in touch with her roots. She does a lot. You look at like the type of movies, type of shows she have on the things she loves. She loves that old family, grandma's teaching and stuff like that. So I don't think she does. And plus,
I'm gonna say there's two more people on this list.
Slave feet.
And I'm gonna say there's two more people on this list, and Oprah is the only one that I say yes to.
I say yeah. The moment she gave everybody get a car, you get a car, everybody. That's the moment she ascended. But other than that, it may have been a plateau for her. But I think at that moment she at least ascended. I
think the problem with Oprah is she lost us completely. Black people are not behind Oprah like they used to be, and she lost us, and that's the game plan. I mean, that was her game plan, perhaps. I don't know of theirs. Ben Carson.
Man, do we got a bleep button on her?
Let's see. Yeah.
You know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
Go ahead.
He's uncouth.
No, Ben Carson. All right, we got one more, and then we'll move on right on. We got two more. We're gonna say Barack Obama and then Clarence Thomas.
Barack, no.
Definitely no.
Should have been, but no.
Should have been, it should have been. He had the audacity to be a leader. He had the audacity to hold the highest position in the land. He had the audacity to actually keep going and win. Then he had the audacity to do it the right way, and he had the audacity to make people look dumb when they tried to come against him. Then he had the audacity to be educated. Then he had the audacity his wife to be educated. Then he had the audacity to actually be a successful person on his own, even if he didn't have that position. And then he had the audacity to empower people and to, yes, we can. He'll never
There's one more thing you missed. And then he had the audacity to do all that over again.
Yeah, and then he had the audacity to do it twice. He'll never transcend. He definitely doesn't know his place.
That's interesting. Okay.
Very good. All right. Let's talk real quick about class and culture.
Real quick, I didn't get the answer. I had a statement I wanted to make. You asked, could America be first class citizen?
Bring it.
I think it's something we need to look at. That's in the law. It's in the I don't know if it's a road law or whatever, but black people in America, we would never be first class citizens. We'll never even have the chance to be first class citizens until biracial people can choose what they want to be. They white and can't even choose to be white. They have to go black.
Let me quick blink my eye again.
Yeah, think about that. Now they're 50-50.
Are you talking about like a numbers game? Like we have more numbers on the black side?
No, I just mean you don't have that right. And
But it's the rule.
this is
I
one
mean, you know,
example.
if you got 1/8 blood in your system, you're black.
I know.
They
Why
got
is that
50%.
the rule?
Oh, it's dominance. It's all about dominance. I would imagine if you got 1/8 anything other than white in your blood, you're that. They even they'll say, I'm not white, I'm German. I don't know that I could tell. I'm not white, I'm Jewish. You know, it's the same to us. So whenever they got 1/8 anything, it typically is what they give it to. Mexican, Indian,
And I
whatever.
know the bloodlines like that, but I'm thinking biracial, a person with one black parent, one white parent, they don't even have the right to choose.
All right, where does class and culture clash? Class and culture clash. Think about that for a minute. Where does class and culture clash?
Try saying that 3 times.
Well, I think you can go a lot of places with that one. First place my mind went when we were thinking about this was like when they was talking about the SAG and things like that. But you see it in rap videos, and a lot of rappers don't have a lot of money. I think that's the first assumption we make. But they appear to have all the jewelry, all the clothes, all the cars, things like that. But some of them do, like Lil Wayne, things like that. People like that. But you assume because they have money that the class is there too. But if you're looking at anything other than money, do they really have class? We're talking about black culture and class, especially. Give me an example of what black culture is that could be class, of good class.
You know what? I guess when you compare class in the black culture to the white culture, what you're thinking is a Kennedy family. You're thinking of a Trump family, whatever the case may be. There's no prominent families. There's some celebrity families, but there's no prominent families in America that will make you put it on that level. I think if I had to do that, I would do somebody like the King family, Martin Luther King. You know, I look at them.
Jacksons.
I don't even know the Jacksons would be considered they're just a famous family, just like the Wayans. I see them as famous. Fame and class, what is it? Class. They're not the same thing. They're not synonymous at all. Because if we can do that, what's that girl? What's some of these Honey Boo Boos and all these people? They're famous, but they're not class. You know. So I think that when you think about a black family, there's a lot more class, but ours is kind of a secret society. Like my family, my mom and daddy, that's the upper echelon of class. They don't have a lot of money, not millionaires or wealth. I'm expecting a note from you here in a second, Tony. But at the same time, But at the same time, I do see them, Janique and her family. I look at these class. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build family, and to me, that's where class and all those things, wealth comes from within the black community. It's not the famous family. It's not even necessarily a business owning family. It's those families who can hold it together just enough where their lineage can be handed off whatever greatness they can. So to me, black people don't have the same. If in 20 years from now, maybe 50 years from now, and we still see the Carter, which is Jay-Z's family, still holding on to whatever money, business, then we might be able to change that game. But we haven't been around long enough to say that. For example, if you're gonna say celebrities, let's go back 100 years. Where's Jack Johnson's family? Where's Langston Hughes' family? Let's go back 100. Where's Paul Robeson's family? Any of these people? We don't know. We don't have that in the black community just yet.
Where the Evans at right now?
They having a good time, I would imagine. Hanging on the child line. But so I think that's you look at we talk about Powernomics quite often, which is Dr. Claude Anderson's book. Go read that. and share it with our audience. But we haven't done any of the things, the 5-story buildings on the Powernomics. None of us. Not one single Black person, family, group has done that. There's some wealth, yes. There's some riches, yes. But there's not a class level that's been developed. And I don't think that's anything that we're going to see for quite some time, which is the sad part. Because that's what we can, if we had one Black family that represented the same as the Rockefeller family, then the Black people of America would look to that family. And that would be something for us to gain. We don't look at Jay-Z. We look at Jay-Z as famous, and we look at Jay-Z as successful with, and maybe artistic, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, true indeed.
My assumption is, well, this is a question again. Assumption: is class important though? If we're trying, if we're worrying about class, what is the goal of the class? I guess I'm just taking an assumption out of it. If we're trying to gain different kind of classes within the culture, what is the goal?
That's a good question, because when you pose the question and you think about it, it really ain't important.
Well, I think that it is important. I think that's the power of that's the foundation of who you are. I mean, most people say God is the foundation. I can't disagree with that at all. I fully agree. But I think that those different families represent some kind of strength and some kind of foundation that everybody strives for. It's the American way. That's why people come here, for that. It's opportunity, the land of opportunity. All of those families, the Trump families, Kennedy families, the Rockefeller families, they all come from somewhere else to here gain that wealth. And that's exactly what we're looking for. We came here with not that opportunity to gain that wealth. We came here as slaves. So it wasn't meant for us to actually have that wealth. That right there, to go back and grab that means a lot. In fact, that's what Black Wall Street was all about. Tearing down Black Wall Street was tearing down those wealthy families. It was tearing down those classy families. So when we lost that, we lost a lot of who we are. We lost a lot of ground. Our ladder was broken down. So I think it's very important.
Deep.
Okay. I would be curious to have the conversation about redefining what class is then. But I like the way we're going, because we always take these discussions deeper than what we have on a podcast. So you guys have any questions, any additional comments, please always reach out to us at reburningspodcast@yahoo.com. Hook us up on YouTube on the video. Watch it after the show today. Rebranders Podcast on YouTube. Also, IG Rebranders Podcast. Put some comments down, some questions down. We love to hear from you guys and get you guys feedback, because we do have deeper discussions, and we'll come out with different platforms. You guys have conversations with us off air that we can bring on the air on some level. So please, feedback and questions.
Thank you very much for that.
Hey, yo, Ace, who do we have on the show next week?
Class is about respect, says Tony Goodson. I love it. All right, thanks, Pops. By the way, I knew you were gonna say something. Hey, yo, Ace, watch this. So next week,
boy, he ain't about nothing.
Hey, yo, Ace, who we got on the show next week?
Well, next week, man, we've been out in the streets hard. We've meeting all different class of people, all different types of people. So we actually have a few coming up, but the ones I chose for next week, because I thought it'd be special. We actually got a group of people together. We're going to be interviewing. They're just going to give us their point of view on things. So we're going to be talking to pet lovers that eat Chinese food in the hood. Are they hypocrites, or are they just in denial?
Lord.
Janique, we want you on the show next week. We got
absolutely
great conversation talking about the differences between different households. It's going to be very funny and very fun. Black households, white households, maybe a higher class household versus, somebody from Pleasant Grove. No offense, Ace. Wow. Country households versus city households. We're going to talk about that next week. It's going to be much more fun than tonight, for sure. Hey, we thank y'all for joining us. We will see you all next week. Have a good one.